For me, it's a bit early too. It's 6 a.m. in the morning for me, so I've been awake all my night. Okay, we are gonna work, and we are gonna do this in three different phases. Okay, the first one, I'm gonna present a type of church, and we are gonna discuss, so you don't fall asleep. Okay. The second, I'm gonna explain another second type of church, and then again 10 minutes so you don't fall asleep again. And the third time, surprise, surprise, we're going to do the same, okay? So this is my city. I live in Geneva. I'm going to give you a little context of my ministry. This is my city, Geneva, where I'm working on, and this is the project. This is the old church, the traditional church, and this is special because we have here the basement. So in the city of Geneva, we have the traditional church established 100 years ago, and then in the basement we have the contemporary church. The project is that we are going to run a center of influence in this tiny part of the building. So the idea and the plan we have for the conference in Switzerland is to use all the old buildings we have in the city that they are not having use. For instance, here is the committee room, and it's huge. The idea is to take advantage of all the old buildings that are based in downtown, in good places of the city, to repurpose some places of the building. So this is the contemporary church, this is the basement, and the plan is to use this tiny place to make a cafe. A cafe for people, because we are 200 meters close to the university, to college in Geneva. So the idea is to do a cafe with volunteers, with counselors, to deal with mental health among younger generations. So we are using, because they are moving, the contemporary church is moving to the upper side. So they are going to let us this space, not only for the cafe is going to be in the upper side, but this is going to be the place where we are going to develop workshops on mental health, how to handle emotions, and so on. Okay, so this is pretty much my job currently, and the idea is to export this model to other cities in in Switzerland, Lausanne, Neuchâtel, cities you don't know of, but I will be glad to show to you if you come to visit us. So we need a lot of money. It's not a big church. My conference in Switzerland is only 2,000 members, and it's an old church. The average age of the membership is 67 years and a half. So we don't have many youth, and the idea is to revitalize the church and the conference. In the other conference of Switzerland, the German-speaking conference, I speak French, the German-speaking conference, they are 3,000. So in the overall, we are 5,000 Adventists, and it's an aging church. Okay, what do you see here? I don't know if you like cows or not. In Switzerland, we have a lot of cows. We have cows for the chocolate. They are needed for the chocolate with the milk. And they are needed for the cheese. So I assume that what you know the most in Switzerland is cheese and chocolate. So we need a lot of cows. So in some parts of Switzerland, what you see is that the cows are closed, enclosed in fences. So it's pretty much the first type of church I'm going to explain. Some churches would like to do retention of our members. So we like to gather, we like to keep them, we like to treat them like they are sheep. So we put fences around so they won't escape. In other places of the world, and I heard in Australia you do like that, you don't put fences, and you will tell me if this is true or not. You put fences, instead of putting fences, you put water spots. So the cows are free to come, to go, because they will eventually come back always for drinking. So I'm going to go for the first church. The concept of this bounded set church, fuzzy church, and center church is from Paul Hiebert. He is an anthropologist, and the first is the bounded set church. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what this church is about, and then we will discuss. Is that all right? So the church, the Bounded Set Church, is a church that you build a line, like a line, if I gather this, like the fences, I build a line that serves as a line to determine who belongs to this church and who doesn't belong. We can draw that line regarding beliefs, regarding behaviors, regarding any characteristic we decide or we choose from. So the idea is that a Bounded Set Church is a church that from outside, all of a sudden you realize who belongs to the church and who doesn't belong to the church, who is in the church and who is not in the church. For instance, if I say you are walking, I don't know how many countries you represent here, and if they do the same everywhere. But if you go to a particular city in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and you see two people, well dressed, like that, almost, and they have like a chariot with a lot of magazines, what religion they belong to? Excellent. So if you see a Sabbath morning, a person with a book here, suit and tie, who is that guy? He's Seventh-day Adventist. So I'm joking, but sometimes the way we dress, the beliefs, the activities we perform, the things we do, the things we don't do, determine the church we are. Okay? So the Bounded Set Church is pretty much that. It's a church that, first of all, you need to believe like me. You need to believe all the things I believe. Okay? So let's say our church, to not offend any others, okay? Because we are used to be positive in the way we treat ourselves. If we consider ourselves, the way we preach the gospel is based on 28 Bible studies that are focused on behavior and belief. So the Bounded Set Church is a church that says, if you want to be part of us, first, you need to believe like me. Second, you need to behave like me. And the Bible studies, or the old traditional Bible studies, at least in my country, were, and those Bible studies influence the whole continent of America and Europe, they are like, what is the Sabbath about? What to do in the Sabbath? What not to do during the Sabbath? And then a last question. Are you committing yourself to keep the Sabbath? Yes or no? This is the last question regarding the Bible study, okay? So the Bounded Set Church starts with belief. You believe like me. Then behavior. You behave like me. Then you can belong. So this can be problematic. Why? Because in a world where people are looking for belonging, when they come to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, they realize that they need to do a lot, they need to accomplish a lot before belonging. And I have a text for you, Acts 15. Do you remember that? But some of the sect of the Pharisees who had beliefs stood up saying, it is necessary to circumcise them and to direct them to observe the law of Moses. So at the beginning of the first church, the church was split in two. Those who wanted to come back to the traditions, to the past, to the Bounded Set Church according to the circumcision and the law of Moses, and those who wanted to follow the Spirit that was prompting the church to preach the gospel among Gentiles. So the first church, the Jews, they wanted to become again a Bounded Set Church. This church is angry when you are spending time or you are developing the ministry of presence among those who are not from the same church you are. Like Paul and Peter. Do you remember the Paul and Peter? Peter used to eat and have fun and spend time together with the Gentiles. But the problem is that where the Jewish Christians came to town, Peter stopped doing that, and then he gathered only with the Jewish Christians. So Paul was so angry, so mad at Peter for doing this, and the Bounded Set Church urges you to do that. to just spend time with those who are like you, those who believe like you, okay? For the Bounded Set Church, the mission is something that is done. It's not a nature, it's not a DNA, it's not your essence. For the Bounded Set Church, as you are so isolated, as you don't spend time with the city, with people, as you only gather and spend time with your kin, mission is something that is done outside the light of the church. It's an action. Let's do from that Sabbath or that Sunday from 10 to 12, and let's do mission. And then we come back. Do you remember the video of the Vikings? Pretty much that. There is a risk, because sometimes boundaries are good. I'm not criticizing this church, by the way. Just as a matter of fact, any of the three churches is perfect. So in the three churches, the three models I'm going to present, we have good things and we have bad things. We have positive things and we have negative things. But the risk with the Bounded Set Church is that imposing or having a line of characteristics that define the church and define those who are in and out, it helps you to have an identity. And it's important to have an identity, because if not, you don't know who you are. But the risk is that the boundaries sometimes can be imposed. Even if you don't agree, you are cast out. So, time for questions. Have you seen? I've been fast. So you gather in groups of 4, 5, or whatever you decide, because I always say groups of 4, 5, and then people do whatever they want. So do as you please. You are free, because this is not a Bounded Set Church. And you answer these questions, okay? Do you understand the questions? First question, how much difference is allowed in the Bounded Set Church? And what kind of difference? Difference of belief, difference of behavior, clothes, whatever, okay? Second question, how ready is to receive seculars, to accept, to embrace secular people? And are the behaviors of those secular people are tolerated, are respected? Third question, what is the main focus of the church? Fourth, what are the positive aspects? And fifth, what are the negative aspects? Is that all right? 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes? Because, wow. All right? I'm sorry. You're gonna stay like that, because I'm gonna take 5 minutes and then we will continue to discuss the second type, okay? This is the Bounded Set Church. This is the first type of church. Positive aspects. You can see the identity right away. And to me a safe boundary, as long as I behave and as long as I believe, I'm in. So I easily understand that I'm walking away. The problem is that those who don't fit, they walk away. They don't find a place in the church, okay? So, sometimes the problem, the negative aspect of this church is that it's more centered on the safety of the church than on people. So regarding mission, it becomes problematic, because you are more focused, your energies are focused on the safety of the church, of the system, and not on people, okay? For the Bounded Set Church, this implies a problem, this verse. Because the Pharisees were a Bounded Set Church. They had 613 rules to determine who was part of the real church and who wasn't part of the real church. So for them, this is problematic. Why? Because Jesus says, truly I tell you, tax collectors and prostitutes are entering the kingdom of God before of you. So this is a problem. Jesus is not seeing the church as a Bounded Set Church. Jesus is not considering the church as something that you believe, then you behave, and then you ended up belonging. But we have the second model of church, okay? A lot of people, including our church, within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, they try to plant churches because they grasp, they feel, they sense that the Bounded Set Churches, or the churches, the established churches, I like to say the established churches, don't answer the challenges of secularism today. So they go to the opposite way. So instead of thinking missionally to plant churches, they just plant churches the opposite direction of the bounded set church. And maybe you are not understanding, but they are similar. Because as the line implies a problem for me, the fact that I need to wear suit and tie on Sabbath is problematic for me, then I go to the opposite direction. And then I erase the line. So as the line is the problem, the focus of my church still is the line. So my fight, my energy is with the line. So the focus and the energy of this church is on eliminating the line of characteristics that disturb me. And this is pretty cool with seculars because this church centers on tolerance. And seculars, they love tolerance. But this is problematic because tolerance doesn't keep a church together. The reaction to the bounded set is clear. Individual freedom is seen as the ultimate good. Then a bounded approach must be rejected. So the focus of this church is not to the mission. The focus of this church is that I can be wearing what I want in church. I'm going to sing the hymns or the music that I love in church. And I'm going to just ask the pastor to preach the topics that I want. And a lot of people plant churches that way. The church is not for the people, the church is for me. So if we, let's say, 20 of here, we decided that we like contemporary music, that we like lights on the platform while we are worshiping, that we like a pastor that is more, I don't know, cool when he preaches in jeans, and we'll love them because jeans, yeah. Skinny jeans, better. No, this is too much of the 2000. It's already, this is too millennial already. We are in opposition to the line of characteristics we hate. We are creating another list of characteristics we love. But the problem is, what about those 20 people when we decide that other aspects we think differently? If we agree on the music, but we disagree on the way we see Jesus, then opposition comes again, conflict comes again, and what do? We split again the church. We are fake multiplying the church. This is a fuzzy church. This is not missional church. This is not centered or balanced church. And the problem is that it looks like cool because in a secular society it works. Because secular people, they love to be well received, they love to have breakfast in church, they love the good music, they love a good pastor, male or female, who preaches very well, they love it. The problem is that all the coolness is not the engine of the church. The focus of the church must be Jesus and not my desires or my longings. This is the the fuzzy church. The problem is the line, so we get rid of the line. So we are happy. The problem is doesn't stay for long, that happiness. So again, this time, 5 minutes, because I don't have more than 5 minutes. 5-minute discussion, same questions, but with this model, this church model. Is that all right? Thank you for your patience and your understanding.